There are ghosts, and then there are men who become ghosts while still breathing. In 1986, one man echoed through Nigerian streets like a war drum. Lawrence Anini. An armed robber, a mastermind, a phantom. In just 4 months, he turned Benin into a war zone. Policemen were gunned down, banks were emptied, and the entire nation was paralyzed. The streets called him the law. But who was this man? This shadow that made Nigerian government flinch. This is the story of the outlaw who brought Nigeria to his knees. Before the headlines, before the bullets, before he became the law, there was just Lawrence. See, Lawrence Nomayagbo Anini was born in the early 1960s in a small village near Benin City. He was from a poor family, the product of a broken system. He was the kind of boy who learned very early that survival wasn't just about school books. It was about sharp eye and quicker feet. As a teenager, Anini became a taxi driver. And that was where he learned the streets, every pothole, every alley, every back route in Benin. But the roads weren't paved with honesty. And soon the quiet driver became something else.
I have many friends. Then, through there, when I stopped driving, my father bought a bus for me. A bus. That is a van where I used to drive. So I was driving in Sapler Garage. From there, my father bought 504 for me. Then I was walking. So later on, when I get to Warri, got an accident. So I was admitted. Before I come back, my father gave up. So from there, then I entered to my business again. Then I met one big lorry, full loaded of medicine at Ebony Lima. Then I carried that lorry. Then when I carried that lorry, I drive it out, I sell it.
By mid-1986, Anini's transformation was complete. He wasn't just robbing banks, he was executing police officers in broad daylight. In 4 months, over 10 officers were gunned down, roads were blocked, banks were emptied, and patrolmen feared putting on their uniforms. In August of 1986, Anini and his gang raided First Bank and stole over $2,000. In October, he stole 46,000 naira. But it wasn't just the violence, it was the theatrics. Anini began leaving handwritten notes at crime scenes, taunting police, sometimes even signing his name like a war general. In a letter he wrote to the manager of the new Nigerian bank, he said, "I intend to visit any time, and the sum of 10,000 naira should be set aside for me." He also gave his address as number 1 million Anywhere Street within Benin City. This man was a menace. By November 1986, Nigeria was in crisis. A single man had exposed the soft underbelly of the entire law enforcement network. And now, the military government had had enough. That same month, a young relentless police officer was brought in, Superintendent Kayode. He didn't talk much, he didn't play politics, he just went hunting. For weeks he followed trails, dead ends, and false leads, until finally the break came from an unlikely place: a prostitute. December 3rd, 1986. At exactly 9:30 a.m., a team of officers led by Superintendent Kayode stormed the modest flat on Sakbomba Road, Benin City. Anini was found lying in a bed, half naked, unarmed. They didn't just find Anini that day. They found guns, stolen cash, documents, and charms. With his back against the wall, Anini tried one last chance to escape. The story goes that during the arrest, when the superintendent knocked on the door, Anini was the one who opened up. The superintendent asked, "Where is Anini?" And Anini pretended and said, "Oh, Anini is in the room," and tried to walk out. But the policeman called his bluff. And as Anini tried to reach for a gun, a single bullet was fired from the policeman. It struck him in his leg, shattered his bone. From that moment on, the king of crime, the ghost of Benin, was now a cripple. For the first time in years, Nigeria took a breather. And during the trial, it felt like theater. The man who was paralyzed the nation was now paralyzed himself. During the trial, he confessed to over 10 armed robberies, scores of death, millions in stolen funds, and the system that helped him do it. The trial wasn't about justice. It was about saving face. The state had been embarrassed for months, and now it needed blood. The crowd outside the courtroom grew larger with each session. Some wanted justice, some wanted vengeance. But all of them came to see the man who once danced with the devil and now was crawling to the gallows. The verdict came quickly. guilty. And just like that, the man who made Nigeria tremble was sentenced to death by firing squad.
We are interrupting our scheduled production on education to bring you a special on the most wanted man in Nigeria, Lawrence Anini. Anini, a local thief who had thrived and operated around Benin State, for some reason particularly feared by rumor mongers, created a myth around him. Today, almost 4 months after he became notorious, he has been reduced to an ordinary rat.
March 20th, 1987, at exactly 6:30 a.m., Lawrence Anini, the most feared man in the nation's criminal history, was wheeled into the prison courtyard. He was 26 years old, and he was no longer a kingpin. He was no longer a ghost. He was just a man with one leg, a heavy heart, and minutes from his last breath. He was tied to the pole, no blindfold, no defiance, just silence. Some reports say he spoke a final prayer. Others said he stared into the rising sun like a man already gone. His white shirt flapped in the wind. And then 9 bullets, one final breath, and the ghost of Benin vanished into dust. You see, Anini's legend should have ended that day, with blood on sand and bullets in bones. But Anini didn't die. Not really. He became something else. A story parents told their children, a name whispered in the back alleys, a symbol of rebellion, corruption, and the brutal price of fame. Of Anini's gang, only a few lived to tell the tale. Most were caught, tried, and executed. Monday Osubo, the right-hand man, George Yamu, the corrupt officer who was relaying the information to Anini during his time of torment, were all swept up by the system, desperate to clean up his mess. Because Anini was never just a man. He was a symptom, not the sickness. An elder once said, "My government train that boy, then use them finish, and when them finish, them clear him." Even now, some swear Anini didn't die, that the man executed was a body double, and that the real Anini struck a deal and vanished into the system he once defied. But that's the thing about legends. You can't kill them. You can only blur them in whispers. Lawrence Anini was a monster, but he was a mirror too. He showed us who we are and what we fear becoming. Salute.